about Taittiriya Upanishad, I quote, Indian spiritual tradition is a great banyan tree. The Upanishads are the flowers, having the fragrance and beauty of the philosophy of Hinduism, blossomed on the vast banyan tree of the Vedas, which in turn are enhanced by the complexities of rituals. The Taittiriya Upanishad is one of the best among such flowers. Really a beautiful picturization. Guru Muni Narayana Prasad understands that ancient knowledge is essential to this age of science and technology, and continues to impart it us through his writings, works, and teachings. Let us pray that he will have only good. Now, moving to my duties. Today we have two professional representatives from Gurukula family itself, Brahmachary Bijoyees and Dr.P.K.Sabu. Both of them are familiar to us, no need to actually introduce them. The first paper will be presented by Brahmachary Bijoyees. He's a symbol of youth in Gurukula family, we know. He has been under Guru Muni Narayana Prasad's Swami's instruction and supervision for our 10 years. His primary research interest into epistemology, structuralism, and philosophy of science. Bijoyees is also attempting to expand his research into Naraayana's writings. We know that Bijoyees was at the helm of the Gurukula students' Pyramida. He is also a good presentator. He always tries to make things more understandable. The topic he has chosen today is the method of Guru Muni Narayana Prasad. So, without much delay, let us welcome Brahmachary Bijoyees to the presentation of his paper. Now, the phone is up to you, Bijoyees brother. Thank you.
Okay. ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ പോകും എനിക്ക് സ്ട്രീമില്ലേ ഇപ്പോൾ സ്ട്രീം അവിടെ പോകും സംസാരിക്കും
Pranams to everyone and heartfelt Sadhakshara greetings to everyone. The paper is titled The Method of Muni Narayana Prasad. So before we go into the specific details, I shall explain you a small incident that relates to this writing of paper. decided to write this paper, I asked Guru, what your method is. The Guru said, his method is fundamentally Socratic. And then he went on to say that his search culminates in the dialectics of Nataraja Guru. So this paper basically is an attempt to bridge the gulf between Socrates and Nataraja Guru in the framework of the methodology or method of Muni Narayana Prasad. So in order to bridge the gulf between these two thinkers in the framework of Muni Narayana Prasad, actually we need to answer so many intriguing questions. And I have formed a couple of questions and I will read it for you. Another thing I would like to put your attention is that usually when we present papers, or actually philosophy papers, we have the freedom to say anything because we have the assurance that the author of the philosophy we are going to deal with is not going to come and correct us or amend us. But here the scene is entirely different. The paper I'm going to deal with, the philosophy I'm going to deal with, the person, the author of the philosophy I'm going to deal with is present. Probably he can stand up and say, please stop, this is not what I have meant. So the risk factor is high, and I take an anticipatory take first before I get into this paper, okay? So actually this is a 1-hour paper, but this is going to be presented and I have some copies of the paper, so if someone is interested to follow a copy, I can distribute it. So half of my job is over because I'm not going to say everything that is written on the paper. You can read out the paper and find out what I have meant. The first question we need to answer is, why did we call the paper the method and not methodology? The terms method and methodology we clear first. And I previously stated that Guru confirms that his method is fundamentally Socratic. So it's necessary to mention what Socratic method is. Also, we must consider whether Guru adopted Socratic method in its entirety, or he just adapted the methodology, leaving out its theory of knowledge, its theory of being and value dynamics. That is another question we answer. Then we need to find out what actually Guru does mean by dialectical method. So Guru's dialectics will be explained. Then a comparison between Guru's dialectics with those of other dialecticians will be done. Then we come to Guru's unique method. After that, we will describe how the Guru's innovative approach is used in the principal modes of teaching, such as discourses, independent works, interpretations, translations, articles, and columns. The seventh is a very important section. How Guru's teaching technique relates to the methods of his predecessors in the same tradition, and eight would be Narayana Guru's teaching as a whole, helped to solve all human problems and manage the conclusion. So the first point is, why do we call this paper a method and not a methodology of Guru Narayana Prasad? So to understand this, we need to find out the roots of Guru Muni's method. Guru Muni embodies a method. Actually, Guru Muni's method is enrooted or rooted in methodology of Narayana. So Guru's method and Narayana's methodology, these are the two differences we have to keep in mind now. Guru is a method and Narayana is a methodology. In simple words, methodology is the study of the system of methods used in a specific field of study. And method refers to a specified type of procedure for carrying out a logically valid systematic plan. These are the difference between method and methodology. I'll explain you a story to understand this very clearly. Suppose Mr. John and he uses all his gardening equipment of a person called Harper. Because John believes that Harper makes use of the best method available in the gardening sector. So Mr. John never had an idea where did Harper get his method. John thought of asking Harper, where did you get this method? And Harper said, the method came from Dr. Green of American Agricultural University. So John thought of meeting Dr. Green to know more about gardening. And Dr. Green said John that he has developed vast methodology so that thousands of methods can be produced out of it. And Harper's method is only one of the methods that can be extracted from the methodology of Dr. Green. But Dr. Green also added that Harper's method is one of the best available because Harper has learned Dr. Green very well. Now, let's come to the original situation. Narayana is like Dr. Green is a methodologist, and Guru is like Harper is a methodist, and we are the gardeners who are the beneficiaries of Guru-Muni's method. Now, to understand the roots of Guru-Muni's method, first we need to understand what is Narayana Guru's philosophies. Narayana Guru's philosophies were integrated science. So curiously, one might ask, what does he integrate in his philosophy? So the answer is science, philosophy of science, science of sciences, and scientific philosophy. These three things Guru incorporates or integrates in his philosophy. So if Guru says his method is Socratic, did he adopt Socratic theory in his entirety or left all the epistemology, ontology, and all the other items of philosophical research? To understand what Guru has meant by Socratic method, we need to read this book called Greek Thinkers written in Malayalam. In this, he identifies four types of consciousness that he quotes from Republic. So these four types of consciousness are Ikasia, this Dianonia, and dialectics. So this is complicating words, but it's very easy to understand. The first one is in the language of Gurukula is horizontal, like mental and or imaginative or sensual. But the second type, the Dianonia and dialectics are of higher intelligence or conscious, more related to the conscious activities, not the mental activities basically. So these two sections Guru extracts from the study of the Republic, and it also recommends us to Guru recommends us to follow the Republic to understand our conscious activities. So from this we understand that Guru is structurally moving towards a kind of method, not to the ontological, epistemological certitudes, but the method Guru completely extracts, and we'll talk more about how he was formed after taking the dialectic, the Socratic method. Now we shall come to Guru's dialectics. So Guru's dialectics is very simple. Dialectics for Guru is a conscious activity that sees the truth from two mutually contradictory perspectives and also reconciles these two perspectives from the standpoint of thought in order to actualize the truth. Guru believes that essential psychological and intellectual pursuits will not lead to a proper understanding of the absolute. He believes that dialectical reasoning alone can help in such situations. Now, this is a very technical section. Probably, beginners can just leave this section aside because this is not going to affect the thought framework of the paper. So, Guru's dialectics is more descriptive than it is structural. Still, we can see that his descriptions culminate in Nataraja Guru's structural dynamics. Guru gradually streamlines his thinking by explaining the quantity of the sensual, mental, and intellectual pursuits in order to arrive at the dialectical method. The variety of possibilities in consciousness is reduced and fixed to a dialectical structure. Guru employs dialectics as a method here. This is more of a Platonic style. Plato employs dialectic reasoning to reduce the multiplicity of our experience of phenomena to a unity of systematically organized concepts or ideas. But Hegel, on the other hand, does not rule out anything in order to arrive at a higher method of dialectics. Instead, he sees negation as a structural necessity that gives the completeness. In this sense, Hegelianism is a method as well as a goal at once. Dialectics is not a method for Hegel. For him, dialectics is something from which everything emerges and returns. Even Guru visualizes so. When Guru negates the unreal with ascending dialectics, he gradually attempts to encompass what was previously negated with descending dialectics. So ascending dialectics is like a technical term, so beginners might not understand that, let's forget it. In Hegel, we cannot distinguish between ascending and descending dialectical differences, making the learning of Hegel's text very difficult. However, Guru overcomes this difficulty in complicating the process by employing Nataraja Guru's structure method. Another thing is that dialecticians usually draw on the structure of thought in detail and leave the result untold. We can see it in Plato and many other thinkers that they make a draw a big structure and they never say anything about it, and people get confused because they believe that telling the result beforehand will lead to conceptualization of reality. Guru, on the other hand, emphasizes that it is consciousness that must be attained. This opens the door for at least some philosophically less educated people to attribute divinity to consciousness, even to the point of objectifying or fetishizing it. Guru is constantly, at another point about Guru's dialectics, Guru is constantly attempting to oversimplify the subject by reducing all descriptions of the physical and mental worlds to dialectics. He quite often neglects logical interactions, which are sometimes required for describing complex systems. This rejection to attempt to logically describe can sometimes result in a loss of meaning relevant to epistemological categories. And these categories may eventually turn into mere nominal elements on the axis of an objective structure. That means when we draw a structure, we put the elements on the structure, it just becomes a word. There won't be any content if it is not properly or logically validated. But more simplification, on the other hand, is unavoidable for people limited intelligences who are attempting to struggle intellectually with infinitely complex subjects. So now it's time to see. Now it's time to see what kind of method has Guru developed as a result of his philosophical research and experiential life awareness. So this is the heart of the section, but I have not explained so much about it. I just put it as an abstract message, and then I'm putting all these peculiarities in the other sections so that it interlinks all together. So what's Guru's innovative teaching technique? His major purpose in teaching is to help everyone who approaches him establish foundation for higher knowledge. That is Guru's goal. He does not want to make a yogi, he just want to give you a good, firm foundation to go for higher knowledge by yourself. He also makes every effort to make lessons as simply and clear as possible. Another feature of his method is that he relies on robust common sense rather than complex logical solutions to philosophical problems. We will encounter more subtleties as we progress. His outlook on method is essentially a synthesis of Nataraja's universal method and the traditional method inherent in Indian philosophical mind. Now we shall see, this is one of the most important sections in this paper. We shall see how Guru's innovative approach used in the main modes of teaching, such as discourses, independent works, interpretations, translations, articles, forums, and poems. So first we see interpretations. Interpretations are one of the major areas of Guru's writing career that has focused on the most. Guru in particular has interpreted all of Narayan's works. That's a brilliant task basically. He also translated all of the major Upanishads except the Brahmachary, along with the Bhagavad Gita, the Gospels, a portion of Quran, and many other works of high spiritual and metaphysical importance. When interpreting a text, how does he approach interpreting a text as we explained? The interpreting a text, initially he focuses on the all methodological aspects of the original work. Then he goes on to see if there are any subsections in the work. When that is finished, Guru will explain the significance of the work as a whole in relation to its subsections. He will then methodically explain the significance and subject matter of each subsection in the following step. He also thoroughly examines the original work's theme, language, meanings, phrasal verbs, metaphors, technical terms, context, methodological significance, ontology, epistemology, axiology, ascending and descending dialectic structures, and a variety of other features of the work or methodology. Guru's translations are the second type of mode of teaching is translations. Guru's translations are another important area in which he excels. Except for the Bhagavad Gita, all the major works of Nataraj Guru have been translated into Malayalam by Guru. In his earlier translations, he shows greater adherence to the original text wordings and meanings. And the result appears to be slightly mechanistic because he does not he did not use his freedom in his earlier years when he translated the text, so it looked slightly mechanistic. But later in his career as a translator, we see him exercising a great deal of freedom in adapting his own writing style without risking the meaning content of the original text. For example, I had the opportunity to sit with him for 8 years, continuously translating one single book, and I realized how drastically he changed from the initial stages and towards the last. Because initially it was slightly word-to-word translations, utilizing so much of freedom in using his own styles, but later he became entirely different and totally free-handed. So in contrast to all these inconsistencies we might notice, Nataraj South Indian interpretation translation is exceptional due to the consistency of structure and beautiful readability maintained throughout the work. This was the winner of P.K.Sabu Academy Awards. The third most important area of Guru's teaching is his independent works. Guru has published many independent works. The major ones are three Acharyas and Naraayana, the philosophy of Naraayana, philosophy simplified for you, the basic lessons on India's wisdom, and Brahmachary, his autobiography. Brahmachary has won another Academy Award, and the three Acharyas is a well-received book among academics. Guru discovers correlations and distinctions between the three major economic giants in this book. What I noticed is that Guru covers all of the common philosophical concepts of these three teachers so well. However, I have the impression that this book does not make a critical, analytical, and structural attempt to rediscover these three teachers through their original works. And next is Guru as a freelance article writer, columnist, and poems. And poems basically, some translations are some are translations, some poems are translations, others are like free works. But I've noticed is that Guru, unlike Narayana Guru, never uses poetry to describe a methodology. Instead, he only uses poetry to reveal the mystical nature of the ultimate reality, which cannot be told in prose. This perhaps is very structural. The next section, Guru's direct teaching. Because Guru's direct teaching is one of the best I ever enjoyed when being in the Gurukula campus. So I need to be a little bit descriptive about this direct teaching methods of Guru. So the first time is the series of classes that Guru occasionally holds for non-resident Gurukula students. The first time, there are 4 times. The first time is the one Guru runs for non-resident Gurukula students. Like in a function like this, and in classes, in auditoriums, houses, and all, he does classes. The discourses aimed at non-residents appear to follow a consistent pattern or presentation style. It begins with a general idea about the topic and proceeds to explain the various philosophical categories, method, goal, and so on in a very systematic manner. The second type of direct teaching is the regular classes that he conducts for the inmates of Gurukula. Direct discourses for Gurukula inmates on a regular basis do not always follow set pattern. Instead, it could also be arbitrary. When I say arbitrary, it should not be taken in a negative or positive sense. It is a kind of absolutist arbitrariness. It is not a weakness, but rather strength of the discourse. Because the methods used in such situations are spontaneous. No rule of thumb can be derived from them. The spirit of such exchanges is entirely based on the reciprocity, participation of the seekers participating in the exchange. The third type of direct teaching is the abstract of wisdom through casual interactions, which occurs freely while we are living with him. The teaching could come in the form of a yell or a shout or a belly laugh. Nonetheless, it is one of the most important of the 3 types mentioned because of its spontaneity, relevance in life, and its direct connection to the individual's conscious domain, the ego sense. And the fourth is a mysterious type of direct teaching that takes place in the mode of silence. This teaching is irrelevant in terms of time and space. This can happen at any time or all the time, depending on the reciprocity between the Guru and the disciple. The transmission of wisdom in this method is similar to 2 glasses joined brim to brim so that the fluid in it flows incessantly back and forth. The last of the four types mentioned, the method of science, has no rationality involved in it. At the same time, it is not advisable to consider one of the four types to be superior to the other. Instead, one must visualize all four types as part of the seeker's inexplicable wisdom structure. How Guru's teaching technique is related to his predecessor's method in the same tradition. So we have three Gurus before Guru Narayana Guru and Guru Bijoyees. So how Guru's method is related to the methods of his predecessors, but I'm not quoting Narayana Guru here, quoting Naraayana Guru and slightly Guru here. Earlier in the discussion, we saw the three major components of Naraayana Guru's integrated science. They are science of philosophy, science of sciences, and scientific philosophy. What I notice is that of the three pillars mentioned in Naraayana Guru, Muni Guru fully adopts the science of sciences and partially adopts the other two aspects to develop his method. That is, even when Guru presents a comprehensive method, he does not explain scientifically why he chose this particular method. As a result, his philosophy is only traditionally scientific and not universally scientific. The second point to make is that Guru's explanation of the ontological factors is incredibly amazing. However, when it comes to epistemology, Guru prefers to be synthetic rather than critical and analytical, and also rushes slightly determine the elements to be attached to the dialectical structure. Scholars outside the Gurukula circle may interpret this as a criticism. However, in this particular context of the Gurukula, I am not criticizing but rather complimenting his approach. Why? Because it functions as a beautiful stairway to the integrated science of the Absolute without overburdening the seeker. Furthermore, I would like to emphasize that without the use of this highly methodical and comprehensive stairways, no one will be able to gain proper access to Narayana Guru's philosophy. The third point I would like to bring to your attention is Guru's lack of phenomenological speculations. In the previous point that I mentioned, that Guru appears to be in a rush to jump from ontological factors to epistemological conclusions. This hurriedness in his approach leaves a lot of room for phenomenological speculation. Again, this is not a flaw in Guru's writings, but rather an opportunity for the seeker to transcend apparent complexities that may occur in the elementary level of thinking. Guru's teaching could very well substantiate this deep divide in Guru's philosophy, as we all know that Guru Vidya is so good, so expert in his philosophical speculations. When researchers make these claims, some people may believe that Guru's books and writings have no independent existence in the common philosophical domain. That is, in fact, an incorrect conclusion. Actually, Guru's books are comprehensive and complete in itself. If the reader does not believe in Guru's authority and wishes to challenge the validity of his method, he should consult Naraayana Guru's works in order to clarify that. And the last, how the Narayana Gurukula's teaching as a whole contribute to the resolution of all human problems. This section's goal is to show how Narayana Gurukula's philosophy as a whole has the potential to solve all human problems. We are aware that the human problems are numerous, but we are so lucky that we can enumerate all these problems under the umbrellas of various philosophies, sciences, religion, literature, and other mystical traditions. Yet the irony is that rather than seeing all the available methods as complementary, members of one branch believe that their method is the best. Another believes that everyone else should follow their method. Narayana Guru, on the other hand, does not argue about any existing methods that have high human values. Conversely, it only recognizes that all branches of knowledge are different manifestations of mankind's conscious activity. As a result, the structure of conscious activity or conscious awareness or consciousness itself must include all human searches that eventually conform to pure value dynamics such as good for all and all for good. What I mean is that once the above structure is fully grasped, no philosophy, no science, no mysticism will be beyond the scope of Narayana Prasad philosophy, especially when approached using Muni Narayana Prasad fantastic method as the key to Narayana Prasad's philosophy. And this is the conclusion, we are concluding it. Even if the Guru claims his method is Socratic, it is not required to be strictly so. It is influenced by philosophers, many other philosophers as well. We see that Guru employs the findings of numerous philosophers to bridge the gap between Socrates and the Narayana Guru. Another interesting feature is the significant difference in Guru's style between his earlier and later works. This shift in style cannot be described as deliberate. It's not deliberately shifting his styles. Such peculiarities can be found in the writings of many thinkers dating back to ancient times. Plato is a very good example, as his earlier and later writings differ greatly in style, method, and theme. However, such changes in style should not be viewed as watertight compartments that can be isolated as we can separate out of where we stop using the old style and where we start the new style. We would just discriminate between these styles sort of interlinked. They should be viewed as manifestations of the same circuit. The circuit remains the same even while writing all these things. In different stages, the maturation differs. And the style changes from the initial to the later drastically. So according to their maturation and the contemplative life go through, there's earlier and later styles may slightly change. That is the point I would like to bring to your attention. In Guru's case, we can see him putting lessons in the style of physics textbook in his earliest writings. Many technicalities have also been left as they are with little room for any change. As time passed, he gradually improved his styles and they are now almost free of such rigidity and completely transformed into a unique style of their own. It even radiates a slight hint of scientific mysticism. And Guru's explanations are more Newtonian than Einsteinian. But unlike Newton, Guru is aware that someone named Einstein existed and is also familiar with his ways of thinking. Like Newton, when he thought about physics, he never knew that Einstein existed. But Guru is making a kind of Newtonian approach, but he knows that there was Einstein. There was Einstein, and he's familiar with the methods of Einstein. Still, he wants to be a Newtonian. However, Guru restricts this method to a three-dimensional Newtonian one in order to make subject matter simple and to lay the foundation for future learning. This is a compassionate step that Guru is taking. He is not confusing the reader with four-dimensional structures and things like that. When we read Malayalam country, the last words he is quoting this ambiguity in learning structural problems, like when he culminates his interpretation. The last 100 words he says, the sat is used in 4 different times. So that is a hint he is giving to go to the 4-dimensional thinking patterns from the neuronic 3-dimensional world. To conclude, all of the findings, one point, the most important thing to remember is that Guru has repeatedly stated that he is only doing his best to present the visions of the ancient Indian sages as described in the Upanishads. So he is only interpreting the vision of the truth seen by the ancient sages of India. He is not finding a new truth or making a new methodology for finding another truth. That is not like that. He is only interpreting the vision envisioned by the ancient Indian sages. And Guru considered the Narayana Guru to be a continuator of the same Upanishad wisdom, as well as someone who restated and reevaluated the same Upanishad wisdom in the language and parlance of the modern scientific world. Now we conclude. To conclude, all of the findings in this paper are explained using commonly accepted rules used in philosophical speculation around the world. After all, this is just an academic exercise. Such an analysis has force. By conducting such analysis, we are reducing the vast possibilities of a philosophical method to a single sheet of paper. That is insufficient. So I recommend that everyone read Guru Narayana Prasad's literature with their eyes wide open. It should not be with a supporting attitude of a proponent or an analytical nature of a critic. Instead, I only hope that everyone maintains both these attitudes so that they can enjoy life from a neutral, dynamic and normative standpoint, because all of Guru's writings serve a genuine rather than a formal purpose. Thank you for your time.
Bijoyees for such a wonderful paper, very systematic and informative. We get a clear knowledge of Guru's method, a method which bridges the gap between Socratic method and Nataraja's Guru's method. He clearly explained to us the difference between method and methodology. You know, methodology is an umbrella concept and method is something which comes under methodology. By using the dialectical method, Muni Narayana Prasad also presents before us an all-inclusive philosophy, just like Sri Narayana. Anyway, there will be a discussion on this paper after 3:30. Now, moving to the next paper. The paper will be presented by Dr.P.K.Sabu, a very well-known speaker and scholar. Dr. Sabu retires as Professor of College Trivandrum. As a teacher, he's a great inspiration to the students I know him personally. He's a well-known scholar of Sri Narayana Guru as well as the Raja Guru. Many people are inspired by many of his articles on YouTube. He is currently collaborating with the Gurukula The book Philosophy of Darshanamala written by Nitya Chaitanya is being translated into Malayalam. He authored and published a book Viplava on Guru's social revolution. Similarly, Dr. Sabu is well versed in science, has written and published a book Nanotechnology. Today the topic he has chosen is Musing our Guru Muni Narayana was a good reflection on Guru Muni Narayana Prasad's philosophy. With due respect, let us welcome Dr. Sabu for his presentation.
प्रणाम गुरु और गुरु परंपरा ಎಲ್ಲ ಗುರುಕುಲ ಕುಟುಂಬ ಗುರುಕುಲ ಬಂಧುಗಳು moderator Dr. Naraayana Bijoyees ಮತ್ತೆಲ್ಲ ಆತ್ಮ ಸಹೋದರರು ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. So when Naraayana Swami asked me to present the paper on Bijoyees, so I immediately informed that I will not be presenting any formal technical paper. I will be speaking in an informal way. That's why the title is known as Musing on Muni Narayana Prasad. Musing എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സിലുള്ള പറയുകയാണ് musing എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. And also ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് അറിയില്ലാത്ത എത്ര പേരുണ്ട്? ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ അറിയില്ലാത്ത എത്ര പേരുണ്ട്? ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് അറിയില്ലാത്ത. Please be very frank. What is the say? I think you got the motivation required for Naraayana. So I was saying balance. Now the balance regarding language. So the English session was originally designed as though each could have been an online program. But now the audience is changed. So one of the very prominent roles in speaking is Sabha Arindu Peshu. Speak according to the Sabha. The English was designed for online Sabha. Now it is an offline Sabha. So I will strike a balance between these two language. So I will speaking in bilingual mode. So whatever I can speak within 30 minutes, in 10 minutes, you can speak actually. Because there will not be much to discuss on my topic. In the Prabhupada church, also about the content. There also I will strike a balance. True that it is a technical session, it was presented technical paper. At the same time, this is the concluding session of Sadhavishekam festivities of Guru Muni. But there is an excuse for the education for me to speak in an informal way. ഇതൊരു സെമിനാറാണ്. അവിടെ നമ്മൾ പ്രബന്ധത്തിന്റെ രീതിയിൽ സംസാരിക്കണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇത് ഗുരുമുനിയുടെ ശതാഭിഷേകത്തിന്റെ സ്വഭാവമാണ്. അപ്പൊ കുറച്ച് അനൗപചാരികമായി സംസാരിക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു ന്യായീകരണം എന്ന ഭാഗത്ത് അതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. So the opening sentence that I phrased in my mind was re-evaluation and restatement. It was already stated by Bijoyees today's concluding session of his presentation. Re-evaluation and restatement. So I read out a sentence from an article written by Guru Muni back in 2008. Guru Muni the context is there was a proposal by the government of that time to impose certain restrictions on sannyasis. Something like they must deposit their dakshana in the government account, something like that. Or they should properly account the dakshana. Sannyasima get the dakshana account in the government. 2008 ആ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഗവൺമെന്റ് നീക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. സർക്കാരിന്റെ ഒരു സെക്രട്ടറി ലെറ്റർ ടു ദി then minister in charge of ദേവസ്വം. അന്നത്തെ ദേവസ്വം മന്ത്രിക്ക് ഒരു കത്തെഴുതി. ആ കത്തിൽ ഒരു വാചകമുണ്ട്. ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ മൗലികമായ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിക്കുന്ന കൺസൾട്ടിംഗ് സർവീസാണ് സന്യാസിമാർ. That is, sannyasis are the consultants dealing with the fundamental problems of life. That new way of defining evaluation can be seen in Gurumuni. Once the government of Tamil appointed a commission to inquire about the philosophy of Naraayana. They approached the research. Basically, what I am following is that of Sagaracharya. Tiruvallur Sarkar commission നിയമിച്ചിട്ട് നാരായണഗുരുവിനോട് ചോദിച്ചു അങ്ങയുടെ തത്വചിന്ത എന്താണ്? ഒരടിസ്ഥാനപരമായിട്ട് തത്വത്തിൽ നാം ശങ്കരനെ പിന്തുടരുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. So when Sukumar Ayyappar sir, he made a comment about that. Had some commission approached Shankaracharya and asked, what is your philosophy? He might have conveyed that, I don't know any philosophy of mine, I am following the rishis of the Upanishad. But Shankaracharya നാരായണഗുരുവിനോട് ചോദിച്ച പോലെ commission നമ്മൾ പോയി ചോദിച്ചിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ശങ്കരാചാര്യൻ പറയുമായിരുന്നു, എനിക്കേതായ തത്വചിന്തയില്ല, ഉപനിഷത്തിലെ ഋഷിമാർ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം തന്നെ ഞാൻ പിന്തുടരുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുമായിരുന്നത് ഈ സുമാരനോട് ഡോക്ടർ സുമാരനോട് എന്ന് പറയട്ടെ. Evaluation from the time of Upanishad, Rishis, Shankaracharya, Naraayana evaluated research time in tune with the modern science and Western thought. Guru Nitya gave a touch of psychology to that, and Guru Manu reevaluated and simplified it. So that is his major contribution to philosophy according to me. Now, as I said, this is the culmination of Guru Muni's Sadabhishekam celebrations. So I think mentioning something personal about him is not out of place. Some turning point, how destiny makes certain incidents which will become turning points of one's life. ഒരു കുഞ്ഞിയുടെ ആത്മാവിനെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം അടുത്ത കാലത്ത് ടി വി ഇൻപതിലൊക്കെ ആവർത്തിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞതുകൊണ്ട് അത് പറയുന്നത് ചാപ്റ്റർ ഇൻ ഗുരുവിനീസ് ഓട്ടോബയോഗ്രഫി ആത്മാവിന് സ്ത്രീ പർവ്വം ചാപ്റ്റർ ഓൺ വിമൻ. ചാപ്റ്റർ ഇൻ ഗുരുവിനീസ് ഓട്ടോബയോഗ്രഫി ചാപ്റ്റർ ഓൺ വിമൻ. അതിൽ പറയുന്ന സംഭവമാണ്, ഒരു 20 വയസ്സിൽ നടന്നു പോകുമ്പോൾ എതിരെ വന്ന ഒരു സ്ത്രീയോട് ചോദിച്ചു പേരെന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. പേരെന്താന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അവർ നല്ലൊരു ആക്രോശം, നിനക്കെന്നാണ് എന്റെ പേര് വയ്ക്കുന്ന കാര്യം, നിനക്കെന്നാണ് എന്റെ പേര് വയ്ക്കുന്ന കാര്യം. പിന്നെ she literally shouted at him, what the hell you have the right to ask my name? ഇതെന്ത് പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം, ആ സ്ത്രീ തിരിച്ച് പേര് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് തിരിച്ച് അങ്ങോട്ട് പേര് ചോദിച്ചിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഈ ഗുരു മുനി നാരായണ പ്രസാദിന്റെ ജീവിതം എന്താകുമായിരുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഇവിടെ ഗുരുവിനെ ശാസ്ത്രിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ ശിവശതകത്തിന്റെ ഗുരു പറയുന്നു, പരമത് വള്ളുവെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴും ഞാൻ പരമത ഭാരതി കാത്തുള്ള നിത്യം. The goddess of words reveals certain words to Vyasa and Valluva. So അതേ ദേവി തന്നെയാണ് ദുർഗയുടെ രൂപത്തിൽ അവതരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ the goddess can reincarnate in the form of Saraswati or Lakshmi or Durga. So that is because of the form of Durga. ആ ദുർഗയ്ക്ക് പകരം സരസ്വതിയുടെ രൂപത്തിലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ മിക്കവാറും ഒരു ഗുരു മുനി നാരായണ പ്രസാദ്. That's the turning point. ഞാൻ ആ അടോക്കാർ കണ്ണൂർ ലേഡി who said like that. മറിച്ച് അവരുടെ മനസ്സിൽ നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും കടപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കും. അത് തിരിച്ചാണ് പറഞ്ഞതെങ്കിൽ മിക്കവാറും ഗുരുവിന്റെ ജീവിതത്തിലേക്ക് ഒരു വിഷയം from his life. So turning point. So how destiny shaped one's life. എങ്ങനെയാണ് നിയതി ഒരാളുടെ ജീവിതത്തെ നിയന്ത്രിക്കുന്നത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വ്യതിരിച്ചിരുന്നുള്ള ഉദാഹരണം. So he had a lot of pressure from his family and friends not to adopt the way of life of a sannyasi. അവർ ഗുരുവിന്റെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ വരാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയുള്ള വളരെയധികം പ്രശ്നമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. കുറ്റിപ്പുഴ പരമേശ്വരൻ സാർ, കുറ്റിപ്പുഴ കൃഷ്ണപിള്ള സാറിന്റെ സഹോദരനായിരുന്ന കുറ്റിപ്പുഴ പരമേശ്വരൻ സാറായിരുന്നു വർക്കല സ്കൂളിന്റെ ഹെഡ് മാസ്റ്റർ. അദ്ദേഹം ഗുരുവിനോട് പറഞ്ഞൊരു വാക്കുണ്ട്, മംഗലാനന്ദ സ്വാമിയോ നിത്യചൈതന്യതയോ ആകാമെന്ന വ്യാമോഹം വേണ്ട. You should not have the illusion to become a Mangalananda Swami or Nitya Chaitanya. That means he better leave Gurukulam and live a family life. That is the place. But he withstood that pressure from his family and friends. Even in spite of that type of discouraging statements from very close friends or his well-wishers. He could stick to that particular decision, or stern decision making. That's all the personality traits of Guru. That's sternness. That you can observe even now. And during the World Conference, World Peace through Unity and Understanding, Narayana Guru organized a series of World Conferences at Kerala. The title was World Peace through Unity and Understanding, 1969, 70, 71, Loka Samadhanam, Advaita Anubhuti. So Guru Muni was one of the main organizers of that seminar, series of conferences. At that time, the Naxal movement was very active in Kerala. Beheading, or being capitalized, that type of activity was taking place at that day, 1969, 70, that day. One such incident took place in Guru Muni's place itself. Those of my generation are remember. Kumban Kaliman Sambhavam. Kumban Kaliman, Talavetti എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ള റോഡിൽ പോയ സംഭവം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. നക്സൽ ആക്രമണം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഈ നക്സൽ ആക്രമണം നടക്കുന്ന എല്ലാത്തിനും അതേ സമയത്താണ് 7 നിലയിൽ ലോക സമാധാന സമ്മേളനം അദ്വൈതാനുഭൂതിയുടെ എന്ന ആ ഒരു പരമ്പര നടക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഗുരു മുനിയുടെ അച്ഛൻ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു വാചകം ആത്മാവിൽ പറയുന്നു. എന്റെ നാട്ടുകാർ കഴുത്തറക്കുന്നു, മകൻ ലോക സമാധാനം കൈവരുത്താൻ കഷ്ടപ്പാട് അനുഭവിക്കുന്നു. So the people of my locality, they are beheading people, and my son is struggling hard to bring peace in the world. That's the contradiction. So how that contradiction happened? That's again a very key point to enter into the philosophy of Naraayana and its applications. So Naxal movements, they had inspiration from, basically from Karl Marx, then from Mao. They applied it. Here, Narayana was trying to convince the world about the potential of the philosophy of Narayana to bring peace, not through violent methods, by very peaceful methods. Both ends and ways are matched. ഇവിടെ അവിടെ നിന്നുള്ള ആ വിദേശത്തു നിന്നുള്ള ആശയം സ്വീകരിച്ചിട്ട് ചെറുപ്പക്കാർ നക്സൽ പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിലേക്ക് പോകുമ്പോൾ നടരാജൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിൽ ജീവിച്ച ഒരാളിന്റെ ദർശനം കൊണ്ട് ലോക സമാധാനം എങ്ങനെ കൈവരുത്താം. പഴയ കോൺഫ്ലിക്റ്റ് എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇത്തരം ദർശനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് ആകർഷിതരാകാതെ ഇത്തരം ചില ദർശനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നത്? If you see the life of all those Naxal activists, you get a different lesson, something else. Even one person personally talked to me. He was a member of the well-known Naxalbari Malayali. He was involved in the Naxalbari movement of Bengal itself. He once wrote a letter to me after reading one of my books. But what was their mindset at that time? Sometimes some kind of brainwashing. So there lies the potential of Naraayana's philosophy to solve social issues. And the first discourse of Guru Muni, that was in 1965. He was not a Brahmachary at that time. To my knowledge, 1970 last year, that Narayana Guru conferred the Brahmachary Dilsha on Guru Muni. I thought the 70 Narayana Guru Brahmachary Guru Muni and Brahmachary Dilsha. I think once Narayana Guru himself asked, speak in a very small gathering in a house. Bangalore Guru in 1965, that was the Saptami celebrations of Narayana Guru. He suddenly asked Guru to speak. And something very specially written by Guru on that occasion is that he could see a type of aura around the body of Narayana Guru only once in that particular day, in that particular morning. A Saptami Rusam, Narayana Guru, Kuriyala Kaidit, because Narayana Guru's Saptadi. So on that occasion, Narayana Guru asked Prasad to speak. So it was an extraordinary. He had to speak. Narayana Guru himself translated it into Kannada. It was not even a proper disciple at that time, but he was kind enough. Or he could identify certain potential in Guru, a future Guru. Very much I can know. Army Guru, തന്റെ പരമ്പരയിൽ വരാൻ പോകുന്ന ഒരാളെ പക്ഷേ കണ്ടതുകൊണ്ടാവാം ആ ശിഷ്യനായ പോകേണ്ട ആളോട് സംസാരിക്കാൻ ആവശ്യപ്പെട്ടത് നടരാജ ഗുരു തന്നെ അത് കന്നഡ ഭാഷയിലേക്ക് വിവർത്തനം ചെയ്തു. അന്ന് ഒരു മഹാഗുരുവായ നടരാജ ഗുരു ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു 30 വയസ്സുള്ള ഒരു പയ്യൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരാളിന്റെ പുസ്തകം കന്നഡ ഭാഷയിലേക്ക് ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റ് ചെയ്തു. അത് പറഞ്ഞത് the theme of that topic highly relevant to today. He spoke about the two dimensions of Guruhood. Guruhood has two different dimensions. One is the principle, the basic principle of Guruhood. Second is how that Guruhood manifests in the individual Guru. Using the terminology of Narayana Guru, we can say that Guruhood has two dimensions, a vertical dimension, the principle of Guruhood, and how that principle manifests in a horizontal form in individual Gurus. So unless this point is very clear, what happens is we usually become fans of a particular Guru than disciples. Because we are attached, we will be more attached to the person, not about the Guru. The same Guru will manifest through different Gurus in different forms. If you take the tradition of Narayana Guru, the style of Narayana Guru, Guru Ditya and Guru Muni are entirely different. ഒരു 3 പേരും എഴുതിയ രീതി വ്യക്തിപരമായ സ്വഭാവങ്ങൾ രീതികൾ പേഴ്സണൽ ട്രേറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതൊക്കെ വളരെ വ്യത്യസ്തമായിരുന്നു. But a true disciple, what is required is just observe that Guruhood, how the Guruhood is manifesting through the different Gurus in different forms. According to their background, their temperaments, their personal traits, their academic background, so all these are relevant. ഒരേ ഗുരുത്വം ഓരോ ഗുരുവിൽ കൂടിയും അവരുടെ വ്യക്തിപരമായ സവിശേഷതകളും കുറെയൊക്കെ ജനിതകത്തിന്റെ പ്രത്യേകതയും അവരുടെ അക്കാഡമിക് പശ്ചാത്തലവും ഒക്കെ വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഓരോ ഗുരുക്കന്മാരും അത് അവതരിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് ഓരോ രീതിയിലാണ്. അപ്പൊ ആ രീതി മനസ്സിലാക്കിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ ഗുരുത്വം എന്നുള്ളതിനേക്കാൾ കൂടുതൽ താല്പര്യമുള്ള വ്യക്തിത്വത്തിലേക്ക് മാറണം. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ ആ ഡിസൈപ്പിൾഷിപ്പിന് പകരം പലപ്പോഴും we become fans. Something like the domain of acting. So if you are concentrating on the acting process, we can appreciate any actor. Instead of that, suppose you become fan of a particular actor, you may not like the other actor. പലരെയും നമ്മൾ ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ആരുടെ അഭിനയം ആസ്വദിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. അപ്പൊ അതിന് പകരം ഒരു പ്രത്യേക നടന്റെയോ നടിയുടെയോ ഫാനായി മാറിയിട്ട് മറ്റ് നടന്മാരുടെയോ നടികളെയോ നമുക്ക് അത്ര ആസ്വദിക്കാൻ കഴിയാതെ. That's a very important point to remember while following the Guru-disciple relationship. That was the topic Guru presented in Bangalore Gurukulam in 1965. It is very relevant all times, not for a particular time, all times, all conditions. It's a very relevant topic, common topic. And after the Samadhi of Narayana Guru, Guru Ditya took charge as Guru. He became Guru. He made a comment at that time. ഞാൻ ഗുരുവാണ്, പ്രസാദ് ഗുരുകുലവും. So when Guru Ditya became the Guru after Samadhi of Narayana Guru, the comment was that I am the Guru and Prasad is Gurukulam. That comment Narayana Guru made. So with that comments, if you apply what happened after Guru Ditya's Samadhi, so Guru Ditya ചെയ്തതിന്റെ സമാധിയായി കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു വാചകത്തിൽ നോക്കിയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റും ഗുരുവും ഗുരുകുലവും ഒന്നായി. So during the time of Guru Ditya, Guru Ditya was the Guru and Prasad was the Gurukulam. And after when Guru Muni became the Guru, both Gurukulam and Guru became one, following that particular sentence. And Guru Ditya gave a certificate during the first foreign trip of Guru Muni. in Love and Blessings, the biography of Guru Nitya. These are the original writings of Guru Nitya. So I will do the translation after reading the original words. I am mostly on the bench. Prasad gives all the talks. My God, he has become almost infallible in his understanding. He speaks with clarity, lucidity, and charm that makes even the worst skeptic succumb to his conclusions. Guru was right to choose him to succeed me. He is a precious gem of Vedanta. I feel very proud of him. You are not taught directly to Guru Muni, you are audible Guru Nitya, and after Samadhi of Guru Nitya, Peter Oppenheimer revealed the letter to Guru Muni. Malayalam translation is Singapore Sandarbham, Guru Muniയുടെ ആദ്യത്തെ വിദേശയാത്ര ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു വിദേശ വേദിയിൽ സംസാരിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഗുരു നിത്യചൈതന്യ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഞാൻ അധിക സമയം ഇടത്തിലാണ്. പ്രസാദാണ് എല്ലാ പ്രഭാഷണവും നടത്തുന്നത്. എന്റെ ദൈവമേ, അയാൾ അറിവിന്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ ഏകദേശം കുറ്റമറ്റവനായി തീർന്നിരിക്കുന്നു. അയാൾ പറയുന്ന വാക്കിൽ വ്യക്തതയുണ്ട്, പ്രസന്നതയുണ്ട്, ആകർഷകത്വമുണ്ട്. വലിയ സംശയാലുകളെ പോലും തന്റെ നിഗമനത്തെ വശപ്പെടുത്താൻ ആ വാക്കുകൾ ഇടയാക്കുന്നു. എന്റെ പിൻഗാമിയായി അയാളെ ഗുരു കണ്ടെത്തിയത് നന്നായി. വിലമതിക്കാനാവാത്ത വേദാന്ത രത്നമാണ് അയാൾ. അയാളുടെ പേരിൽ ഞാൻ അഭിമാനം കൊള്ളുന്നു. Later, Guru Muni received an award, the same name, Vedanta Ratna Award. So though it was not an award by Guru Nitya, way back in 1976 he used that name, Vedanta Ratna. And about a few years back, an organization conferred an award on him, the same award, Vedanta Ratna. And another, so this was long back, 1976. Then 1989, Guru Muni went to Fiji. He was there for 2.5 or 3 years. But that time also, Guru Nitya wrote a letter to Peter Oppenheimer about his expectations or the purpose behind sending Guru Muni to Fiji. These are the words. Muni Prasad was born to Fiji Islands. He may remain there for 3 years. I hope that will be his graduation, return to assume the duties of a Guru. No. Muni Prasad, Fiji ദ്വീപിലേക്ക് പോയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അവിടെ അദ്ദേഹം 3 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞു തിരികെ വന്ന് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് ഒരു ഗുരുവിന്റെ ചുമതല ഏറ്റെടുക്കുന്നതിനുള്ള ബിരുദമെടുക്കലായിരിക്കും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ യോഗ്യത നേടലായിരിക്കും ഈ യാത്രയെന്ന് ഞാൻ ആശിക്കുന്നു. This is Guru Nitya's words. And I remember a comment made by Guru Nitya in a convention. I think that was the first convention I attended when Guru Nitya was alive. That was the time when Guru Muni returned from Fiji. That time Guru Nitya said, now I can die very peacefully. എനിക്കിനി സമാധാനത്തോടെ മരിക്കാം എന്ന് ഗുരു നിത്യ ഒരു കൺവെൻഷനിൽ പറഞ്ഞതെനിക്ക് പങ്കെടുത്ത ആദ്യത്തെ കൺവെൻഷനാണ്. ഇന്ന് ഗുരു മുനിയിൽ നിന്ന് ഫിജിയിൽ നിന്ന് തിരികെ വന്ന സമയമാണ്. ഒരു ഗുരുവിന്റെ ചുമതലകൾ എടുക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു പരിശീലനം കൂടി ആയിരിക്കണം ഗുരു നിത്യയുടെ മനസ്സിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത് നമുക്ക് ഊഹിക്കാം. അന്നത്തെ ഗുരുകുലത്തിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു വാചകം ഞാൻ ആത്മാവിനെ കണ്ടത് ഒരിക്കൽ ഹിമാലയ യാത്ര നടത്തുമ്പോൾ അമേരിക്കയിൽ നിന്ന് വന്ന കുറച്ച് ആളുകളുമായിട്ട് ഹിമാലയൻ യാത്രയാണ്. വളരെ ഇടുങ്ങിയ വഴികളിൽ കൂടി അപകടകരമായ സാഹചര്യങ്ങളിൽ കൂടി വണ്ടി പോകുമ്പോൾ ഗുരുവായിട്ടല്ല മുനി നാരായണ പ്രസാദ് സാറിനോടൊപ്പം പറയുന്നു, നമ്മൾ രണ്ടുപേരും ഒരുമിച്ച് യാത്ര ചെയ്യാൻ പാടില്ല. എന്തെങ്കിലും സംഭവിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഗുരുകുലത്തിൽ പിന്നെ പാടില്ലതാണ്. So Guru Nitya and Guru Muni, they were traveling together in the Himalayan terrain, very dangerous terrain. Very lot of variable curves, undulating terrain. So Guru Nitya told Guru Muni that it is not safe to travel together, both of some accident happens, there will not be anybody to look after Gurukula afterwards. That was the situation that day. After that, we all know what is history. The Sabochila, Gurukula is moving, the ship is sailing, Kapal, what do you take? That was the anxiety, and the other situation at the parliament. But then, Guru Institute of the Science of the Absolute. Institute of the Science of the Absolute. That is, we are taking the Sahara of the day. Padapati, Guru Muni Narayana Guru Dishri Parana, I am the person പിന്നീട് ലേഖനമായിട്ടുള്ളത് ഇന്നലെ റിലീസ് ചെയ്ത ആ സുവനയിലുള്ളത് നമ്മുടെ സുഹൃത്ത് ശ്രീമാറാൻ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൽ ഗുരു തിരിച്ച പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന കാര്യം ഇത് പ്രസംഗിച്ച കാര്യമാണ്. വർക്കല ഇപ്പോൾ കാണുന്ന ബ്രഹ്മവിദ്യാ മന്ദിരം അതിന്റെ ആദ്യ ശിലയിട്ടത് മുതൽ മേൽക്കൂര ശരിയാകുന്നത് വരെയുള്ള മുഴുവൻ പണികൾ വെയിലിലും മഴയിലും കാറ്റിലും വിശ്രമമില്ലാതെ നിന്ന് പണിയെടുപ്പിച്ചത് മുനി നാരായണ പ്രസാദ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ പുരുഷാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ സ്ഥാനം കൊടുക്കേണ്ടതായ സ്ഥാപനമാണ്. കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ദിസ് ബിൽഡിംഗ്, റൈറ്റ് ഫ്രം ദി laying of the foundation stone till the completion of the roof, the whole supervision, irrespective of whether it was hot sun or heavy rain or blowing of storm winds, it was not about these type of climatic changes. He supervised individually. So this should be institution. This should be placed at a higher level, dedicated to Guru Muni, related to Guru Muni Narayana Prasad. There is a Purushartha actually is Naraayana. Purushartha means Dharma, Karma, Moksha. That kind of achievement. One of the greatest achievements of Guru Muni is this institution itself. That is the coming of Guru Nitya while he was giving farewell when he departed for Bijoyees. And one comment in Guru Muni's Atmaya autobiographies, while he was in hospital in 2006, Maranatha Muni continued the Samay Mutayana. I had to face death face to face. So that day I was in the hospital. The Guru Muni's autobiography, the narration of how I went for a doctor comment, Dr. Chandra, neurologist. The doctor treating him, the neurologist, she made a comment. Your doctor is elsewhere. Minimum doctor in the material. You get the meaning in the Asana. Guru Maranatha, nearly given something by Par was saying to them, Christopher, Sadakshire. ആഘോഷിക്കുന്ന അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് ഗുരു വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആത്മായണത്തിന്റെ അവസാനം കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കവിത ചൊല്ലിയാണ് അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. ആത്മായണം റിലീസ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ ഞാനാണ് നമ്മളത് പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തി റിലീസ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ the content of the poem is after every evening twilight, the morning twilight will come. New flowers will blossom. Through that new flowers, my life will continue. That's it. Essence of that poem. The actual lines are Meelundari Sandhyavela Ravadil Chengalinidum Meelundari Sandhyavela Ravadil Chengalinidum Uttan Pagadal Vindam Vannodichedume Avatanti